and welcome to Global Health Talks. This is a very, very interesting day today for a lot of reasons. First, my guest today is from Australia. And second, it is a woman who has an amazing background in finance, who has decided to take that toolbox and move it over to nonprofit health and try, as the first one in Australia to do such a thing, try to create a digital health accelerator. And we're going to talk to her about that. I'd like to introduce everyone to Brownyn Le Grice. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm not even sure these days what time it is, but it's lovely to have you on our show.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me here today.
I want to ask you first, I'm going to ask you to tell our audience who you are in terms of why someone interested in health and digital health will listen to you and understand why it is you're offering some good advice.
Thanks, Mike. It's a really interesting model, ANDHeath. I worked for a venture capital firm, hence my finance background. And one of the things my mentor in venture capital taught me was that the more diverse a viewpoint you have around an investment decision, the better the decision will be. And so ANDHealth is founded on a model of bringing a whole bunch of different stakeholders who have an interest in digital health around the decisions we make around selecting the companies that we incubate and how we decide on what projects we should fund with those companies. So it's very much based on this idea that a diverse skill set and a diverse stakeholder base will make a better and more robust decision. So the interesting thing about what we do with ANDHealth is we bring together medical device developers, software guys, we bring pharmaceutical companies, universities, health data analytics firms, we bring them all together around everything we do. And so when you do that and you bring that collective, what we call harnessing the collective or harnessing the power of the collective, when you bring the collective around these programs, you get a really interesting outcome. And interestingly, it's all done on a non-profit basis. So we don't provide a right of first refusal. We don't provide any kind of IP arrangements for them. They engage with these companies in the view that if they can shape the companies in a way that's advantageous to the healthcare system and to their business, that there will be future deals and future commercial outcomes for everyone involved.
Do you find that this, and it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. Do you find that it more often than not works smoothly, or is it very often like herding cats?
I try not to herd cats. I'm not a cat person, but what we've done is we have a really high bar for acceptance into the membership. So in order to be one of those corporates that, and not to put too fine a point on it, it's a paid membership. So the corporates that pay us to become members, but we actually have a really high threshold for who we accept. So the collegiality and the mutual respect and the culture of the organisation is paramount, so that when a company wants to become a member, the other members have to say, yes, we think they're good guys. Yes, we want to work with that team. And so because the members have, I guess, the right of refusal as to who can enter their membership, what we really end up with is a really powerful group of companies all aligned to a mutual
Are
objective.
These companies generally, when they come to you, are they pre-revenue or very early stage, or is the portfolio of companies the complete range?
Yeah. So our members who pay us to participate, they're the big corporates who have an interest in building the industry. The companies that come to us to participate in the program, small to medium enterprises. Our current program is funded by the Australian Government Department of Health. They require that those companies are small. They require that they're under 199 staff. And so they are small to medium enterprises who have a digital health technology that has a direct impact upon the patient. So this particular program works more in the digital medicine, digital therapeutic space. less in the telehealth platform, billing, system inefficiency, infrastructure space. So the products that the companies that come to us, their product needs to be acting in a way to treat, prevent, mitigate, manage disease. So it's something that's probably going to attract a clinical trial. It's something that will have a regulatory approval protocol in most major jurisdictions. And they're really those technologies. We're trying to find those technologies where it's the combination of technology and deep medical research that results in a transformational outcome for patients.
Do these companies try to identify, Bronwyn, a core problem that's unique to their company that is a first hurdle? Do they stage the job, or do they just look at it like, yeah, we want to be the best in the world and let's go do it?
Well, I think everybody wants to be the best in the world at what they do. What we find is really interesting. So yes, they need to be solving a clinical need, but they have to be able to point to an economic need as well, because we're in the business of building businesses. Our purpose is to accelerate the commercialisation of digital health technology companies in Australia for Australians, and that includes development, commercialisation, implementation, and export. So where they're looking to solve a clinical need, you have to have a clinical need, but there has to be a way of that transforming into a scalable business. So in terms of, I think for any investment process or for any program, they have to be solving a problem in a way that's scalable, and they have to have some kind of competitive advantage. And whether that's in their clinical data, or whether it's in the stickiness of their solution, or whether it's in the way they've navigated the economics in major markets, they still have to have that unique thing. Because at the end of the day, if they want to impact millions and millions of patients, they need to have a sustainable business behind that. They can't just assume that governments or others will pay. So what we're trying to really drive with the companies is to find that magical combination of clinical need and commercial need that results in a scalable business.
I recently interviewed I won't give you the name of the university, but it's #1 university in Los Angeles. And they have an accelerator for pediatric device companies. Very, very narrow. But their core hurdle, their first hurdle is just in general, all around the world, pediatric device companies lag far behind other device companies in their access to capital, in their ability to be heard or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty odd. They have an amazing team, and their cookie cutter approach is, if we solve this for our accelerator group, our portfolio, this can cookie cutter and transplant anywhere in the world. And that's part of their plan. So I know that you have an international set of glasses on as well. And I know you've also, I've heard rumblings that if not now, soon, you will have an international committee. Without spilling the secret sauce too much, can you, speaking in vague terms, tell us about what that's about, why you're doing it primarily, and can you tell us a little bit, assuming it all happens in the crystal ball, assuming you put it all together, how can it make a global approach to what you're doing work?
Sure. So I think the most important thing is that when we look at commercializing Australian companies, investors want to see their plans to enter the major markets. Australia is a wonderful place to live, but it's only 20 million people. So you're probably not going to be building your next billion-dollar healthcare company based solely on an Australian market. So the international market's really important to us. Right. So we were recently awarded just under $20 million from the Australian federal government, and that will fund our incubator. We work with each company as an individual, so there's no curriculum. And part of that new process is our International Investment Advisory Committee. So what they will do when we think about digital health as a sector, specifically that clinical evidence-based end of digital medicine, digital therapeutics, when we think about that, there's very few people globally who can say, hey, man, I've built a company from way to go. I've exited. I've done my bit. I've got all the scars and all the lived experience of having gone through what is effectively a relatively novel commercialization pathway. The value inflection points are not necessarily well understood by investors. So what we've done is gone out to our international network and said to 8 people, you guys have done this. You have the scars. You have the experience. Would you be prepared to be a sounding board for our program? So we will still use our multi-sectoral member-based selection process, but now we get to say to the international committee, do you think these are the right companies? Do you think this is the right way to spend the money? Are these the projects that are really going to move the needle for these companies? Is there any suppliers that you can bring to us that are pre-vetted, that have prior experience? And is this the right amount of money to spend on this project for this company? And it just enables us to use, a bigger brains trust. So if we think about digital health, it's quite a nascent sector in Australia. It's less mature than it is in markets like the US, especially from a capital perspective. So if we think about ANDHeath is trying to become a kind of pool of accessible expertise, whether that's within the team, within the membership, or within the International Investment Committee, that then can help lots of Australian companies. Because if an Australian digital health company was going to go out and hire a Bronwyn or a Grice or a Damien or the people that work for me, then only one company benefits from that expertise. This way we create a kind of engine room for that expertise, including international expertise, that we can bring to Australian companies.
I think that's beautifully thought through. Now, you have, don't tell me anybody, not that you would, but you've got pins in the map. You have 8 pins. Tell me where, 9? You have 9?
I have 8. No, I have 8. Well, there's other pins, but I have 8 at the moment.
Tell me where the pins are.
So the majority of the pins are across the US being the market that drives the biggest investment decisions in the venture capital community in Australia.
Sure.
But in addition, they are through the UK and Europe. And a lot of our pins who may be based in the US may have actually already conquered Europe. So what we're trying to identify is people that are either founders, executives, or investors that have been involved in digital health for a prolonged period of time. So 5 to 10 to 15 years. They have their wins and their losses, because, people, you learn as a former VC, a venture capitalist, I can tell you learn just as much, if not more, from the ones that don't work than the ones that do work. So,
absolutely.
And some of them are still in executive roles, and some of them are in investment roles, and some of them have exited and they're sitting on a beautiful boat somewhere in America doing private equity and other advisory work. So what we've tried to do is really, and they're all from different parts of digital health. So some are from the investment side, some are from the behavioral health side, some are from the platform as a service side, some are from the population health management side. So we've really tried to go in a diverse way across their backgrounds as well. And of course, as a female-founded and female-led accelerator, we have a 50% female representation on that committee.
Oh, fantastic.
We're a partner, the Australian New Zealand partner of the ANDHeath Digital Incubator.
Oh, wow.
So that's an example of how we go about trying to bring in information, intelligence, expert viewpoints from large US corporates who might be looking for technology like ANDHeath. Yeah. So we work with them on content. They speak at our events. They give information to our cohort companies. We screen and recommend Australian companies for their challenges that they run. But, those types of partnerships, we signed that one I'm going to say early this year. It feels like last year, but COVID time runs at a different frequency.
Crazy.
So we're a partner of the ANDHeath Digital Incubator, and that's exactly the type of partnership we look for. It gives us access to information, but it also gives us insights that our companies can use when they're trying to penetrate those major markets. So that's the type of relationship that we will be looking to duplicate as we go into other major markets.
Well, Bronwyn, this call has been way too short. We can only, I think, get the top line of what it is you're doing, but it's absolutely wonderful. We certainly at our show wish you continued success. And for us, we wish the opportunity throughout the continuum of what you do to hear of your successes, to hear of your progress. Certainly the world needs a lot of things right now. And thank God for people who are thinking in advance about what those things are. And certainly as an American, we welcome you here as well and give you that same extended hand and hope that we can help you throughout.
Thanks, Mike. It's been a real pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you in America and also hosting you down here in Australia sometime soon.
Wonderful.